Yo. We have the count in the
Yo,
house with dude Shawn.
yo, can y'all hear me?
Wait. Dracula's from the South?
Yes, that's Country Dracula. Country boy Dracula.
Shouldn't he have a grill then on those?
All right, let me take
Oh,
this dumb thing off so y'all can hear me.
yeah. So this is 12E Talk. This is episode the one where Sean's on. I totally forgot the number. I know Derek has it in mind. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the Coffin bill. What's up, Sean?
Hey, what's up, guys? I
Yo,
can't take this seriously anymore.
Dracula up into hizzy. Who's ever seen a bald
Well,
forehead Dracula?
yeah, man. I mean,
Extra forehead, bald dude
you got the team.
Dracula.
I actually dressed up too. So I have two costumes. One is my favorite kicker host, and then underneath this, I have something special.
He's unbuttoning y'all. Close your eyes.
Uh-oh.
Those who are listening, close your eyes.
Avert your eyes. I had to do this in honor of our buddy. I had to bust out the V-neck.
Much appreciated.
Although this one's a little bit too big. You know, I should have had a smaller one. But
Hey, need that extra medium.
Yeah, the extra.
Can you even imagine people that have never seen or heard our show before that tune in and be like, what
What's going
are
on?
these
What's going
fools
on?
doing?
Like, listen. We just do this show for our friends anyway. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow, SD Designs right up in the house here in the beginning. Hope all is well. Good to see you, Shawn. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's what I like to call Halloween week. You know, Halloween's on a Sunday this week, and we had our big release of the. Tried to think of the name for the longest time. What we're going to call this project, and I know what a tomb is. It's not really a tomb, but the Tomb of Boom just kind of resonated with me, so that's what I went with. And you know, it's really hard in a 14-minute video to capture the full process. Even though Shawn and I did an interview, and I posted that as well, so you can go back and watch the full interview to get more details. We decided to have Shawn on this week because there were some things that came up in the comment section also, and I figured you guys who like to join every week may have some questions too. So we'll just jump right into it. I mean, because we've got, you know, time will fly by here when we're doing this. So I'm just gonna go like share the screen here, and I'm gonna start way back like at the very beginning. So this is literally Shawn making the cuts of the birch.
Yeah,
Sean,
just getting
was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't really want to do this?
started. Like, you mean like day one?
Right.
No,
He's
I'm
like,
just
what
kidding.
did I agree to do?
Right.
No. I don't know. No, not necessarily. You know, I think whenever you get to the very end of any big project, you really just want to finish it. That's probably some of the hardest time of any big project. It's towards the end.
Right. Yeah, that home stretch.
It definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I misstated, I think, in the video the duration because I said 2 months or something, but we started this like back in July, I think. So it was definitely more than 2 months.
Yeah, I think by the time I actually got started, it was about 2 months.
About 2 months, 2 months of work.
Fabrication work, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you guys didn't catch it in the interview, so we had an idea of kind of the design of how it was going to look based on the Dracula coffin, based on the Rockin' coffin from 1991. But as far as height went and width and all that stuff, you know, we didn't really know how big to make it. So Shawn just kind of decided, hey, I'll make it kind of fit me.
Yeah, precisely.
He said, because this project is going to kill me.
That's right.
But there you can see
Yeah, there you go.
him standing up there by the coffin, so he's got it about matched his height. But Shawn, did you have the the CNC before this, or did you use this as an excuse to buy the CNC?
No, I did. I got it. I picked it up last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What CNC is that? Which one do you have?
That is the Shapeoko XXL.
Is that the belt driven or the cam driven one? The belt
Yeah,
driven.
Belt driven. Yeah.
Have you ever had? Have you had any issues with it being off from the belts being loose or anything?
I haven't, but it's also I mean, it's still a relatively new machine, so
Right.
I'm hoping it doesn't get too far out of tolerance.
I'm
So
wanting to order
far, so
one.
good.
That's why I asked, because the cam driven ones are very nice, but they're expensive. They're almost
Yeah, I'm sure.
double the price.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look at Derek's face. He's like, "What are they talking about?"
No, I'm reading the comments, just having fun. So yeah, David, thank you, appreciate that. Let's see. Did you have any issues cutting the plywood with the router?
No issues. No.
That's
So-
the good thing about it. With the CNCs, you do a bunch of depth cuts, so it's just boom, easy.
Right.
Yeah, so this shows. I thought there were some video clips in here too. I'm not sure why when I put them in here, it doesn't do them in order for some reason. Even though I listed them in order, because some of the older ones are. Let's see, because you had a really cool one, a really cool video. Sorry, somebody's using the ice machine. Of the CNC cutting
There's someone
out.
behind you. Can turn around.
Yeah, I better watch him. Michael Myers in the house.
Just want to say hi to Scott.
Scott Halloween.
Perfect.
There you go.
That's perfect.
Yeah, Scott is up into hizzy. I don't see. Anyway, he gave some video showing the cutting out the speaker rings and the tweeters and stuff like that using CNC. But yeah, I'll just kind of go through them slowly as you guys are looking for questions, and if there's anything that pops out, I guess. Because this looks
how
like
much did it weigh? Did you get a chance to weigh it?
Very good question. Don't know for sure. I would guess somewhere around 250.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking heavy. I can tell you because I've got one of those smaller hand trucks that I've been using to move it around, and it's not hard to move it with that. In fact, it works pretty well even with those handles on the side. But I'm still trying to decide about Halloween. What I'm going to do, because I really want to kind of play it and have people see it. But I'm like, I want to put it on my front porch, but I don't know how I'm going to get it up there without some help because it's heavy. I can't lift it up by myself.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put all three of them girls to work.
Yeah. So I saw the other question about the spectrum analyzer. Somebody asked also, was it RCA-N? I think Shawn, remind me, didn't it have an 1/8 inch and you had to use a RCA to 1/8 inch splitter?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That 1/8 inch input. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess go ahead.
Sorry, it's definitely a DIY kind of piece. It's not. There's no fit finish to it. So you have a separate control board. It even has spots on the board where you could just solder directly to it if you want to. So if you're savvy with electronics, there's all kinds of different ways that you can hook it up. But
you make some cool looking plexi smoked panels over the front of it to kind of blend it.
Yeah, there you can see that. I was trying to find the one before it that showed all the little dots that Shawn was talking about. Right there you go.
Oh yeah.
And if you look at there's a zoom in. If you look at the link in my video description of the video, it'll take you to eBay and it'll show you what it looks like. But I didn't realize, Shawn, there were 50 different modes. Did you realize there were 50 different modes? Is what it said.
Yeah, I never counted them, but
yeah, it's funny, and in the video I showed on the back. So when he cut out, I hate to not have all this stuff lined up. When you cut out the Rockford Fosgate logo in the back, he left a spot where you can push your finger through to cycle through the different settings. And the first time he showed me, it's like he clicked and clicked and clicked. I was like, man, how many different settings are there? There's a ton of them. But I'll see if I can. I think you can see it through.
See it there.
Yeah, you see it through right there. There's a little button right through there.
Yeah.
For me, I had to stick my pinky in there. And that Liquid Dragon, thank you for that question, because that one came up probably more than any other question. And that was big dummy, my fault for not even talking about that. It's obviously everything is based on 12 volts. So Shawn had the leads coming off of the bottom, hooked up to an Anderson connector. And then off the Anderson connector, it's just positive and negative. So it can go to a 12 volt battery, 12 volt power supply. The neat thing about it is the power supply that I use is one that I bought several years ago. It's the RD Power one, and I think the guy that makes them either passed away or just no longer makes them anymore, unfortunately. But what's cool is it gives you the amperage on the front of that unit as it's playing. And Shawn told me it only pulls like 12 to 15 amps at max volume, and that's true because that's all that I see on the power supply as far as how much current it's pulling when it's cranked all the way up. So you wouldn't need a really big power supply to power this thing. And if you just use like a deep cycle battery, it probably lasts a pretty good while before it would drain down.
Yep.
Oh yeah, like a 100 amp hour AGM, you could probably go quite a while with that.
Yep.
Sure.
I do
and
like
so
the way the speaker plates are brand new and they're just like rainbow almost colored.
Yeah. So the decision of the speakers, Shawn and I went back and forth several times about that because he thought, rightly so, that we probably should have gone Rockford for everything because that was really the theme, was the Rockford Fosgate with the Dracula logo and stuff like that. And I was back and forth about it. I didn't have many of the Rockford Fosgate mids and highs because I had other brands, but I don't know. I just kind of decided based on the original one that they didn't really match everything. So I didn't think it was that important to match the mids and highs, but the Boston Acoustics were always my dream speakers back in the day. And I did have them because I saved up for like 2 years to buy them. But I had some new ones, brand new mids. The tweeters we got out of the brand new 4.4 set. And those who are really eagle eye may notice this, but I didn't have anybody comment. But the crossovers are actually 4.4s. And the reason we did that is because these were brand new. The set of 4.4 Boston Acoustic speakers that I had were brand new in the box. They'd never been taken out. So we used the tweeters from there, and then we used the crossovers. Now, I had the crossovers from the 5.4s, but they had been put in my doors in an older car. And you guys probably know where it goes from there, right? All the terminals were rusted. It was really difficult to make those look good. And I just we didn't want to devote the time to try to restore the 5.4 passive crossovers. But, like Shawn said, these have got the same crossover point for the tweeter anyway.
Absolutely.
And you don't need the high pass because the amp does that, right? The amp's got the 100 hertz low pass and 100 hertz high pass. So there's no concerns about that. But I am surprised that nobody caught that, or at least they didn't say anything if they did.
Now, what about this subwoofer? Can we talk about this sub?
So like this is another thing we went back and forth on. And Shawn, I don't mean to talk so much about all this. So if you have anything to say, you just bring it up. But I had a brand new Rockford Fosgate Pro Series about from 1990, maybe 1991. Was it the SPP 124, the one with the big magnet? But it was not chrome plated. It was not gold. When we first started this, the original idea was to do gold. Like I wanted a gold amp shroud. I wanted gold on the back of the amps because the speakers already had, they kind of look gold anyway on the back. So that was the original idea, was to do that. And it turned into one of those things where I just didn't know how long it was going to take to do all that. And also the back of a stamped steel basket like those old Rockford Pro Series were, I wasn't sure they were going to look as good as what, Shawn kind of brought up. And so Shawn, as I'm bringing up the pictures of the subwoofer, you can talk about what that sub is that we used.
Yeah. So we initially thought, excuse me, we initially thought that maybe we were gonna do the old Power Series motor that's all chrome on the back.
Yeah.
But after some thought, we decided to do an HX2 motor for a couple reasons. One of the biggest reasons is because if anything should ever happen down the road, that sub could be serviced. That could be rebuilt. But we can get voice coils for that if we need to, spotters for that, everything. When with that chrome motor, it's a proprietary voice coil that they use. You can't get there you go. That's perfect right there. You can't get a replacement for it. I could have built this one here, but we wouldn't be able to really service it, at least easily in the future. In addition to that, the inside of the pole piece there tends to rust over time, and we just figured it would be best to stay away from that motor.
Yeah, I mean, I think like new, this one looked the dopest because Shawn sent me the picture.
Yeah.
He's like, "Do you want to use this one or do you want to use the HX2?" And I'm like, "God, dude, I like both." I said, "I'm gonna leave it up to you. You decide." And then Shawn already had the custom labels made up for the HX2 motor, so he's like, "I think we'll go that route." And again, with what he just described, once he mentioned that, I was like, "Yeah, again, the reason I went with the Boston 5 1/4 is because I had an extra set. So if anything ever happened with those, I could easily swap them out. Same thing with this, like Shawn just said, if for some reason that we blew the subwoofer, somebody punched it in, whatever, we would have a way to replace it. And it's kind of funny that you're thinking about that when you use old school gear, right? Because most of the time this stuff is kind of like a one-shot deal.
Yeah,
and
right.
A lot of people are saying, why would you do that when you've got so much power with Class D stuff these days? Why wouldn't you go Class D? And again, the whole theme that I wanted it to kind of be was the Dracula, the Rockford Fosgate, the old logo type thing that was used way back with the real sharp edges. And that was kind of the theme I wanted to go with. So the Power 300 is a nice amp. It's plenty powerful for this project, but I can tell you that sub will take a lot more power than that amp will put out on those 2 channels. So the amp is a 4-channel, and we have it bridged. And I think you did the sub at 4 ohms single voice coil, right, Shawn?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have it bridged, and it's probably realistic power, maybe 300 watts on the sub, and maybe 75, 80 watts per channel for the mids and highs.
Yeah, if the coffins are rocking, don't come a knocking. Because if you put too much power on that dude, you probably have to put some extra bracing and everything, and you might have some kind of other weird noises. And
yeah. I mean, right now, if I like the track that Bassotronics made me, which big shout out, of course, to Shawn and Scott Hall for the drawing, and Bassotronics for. I mean, he literally stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning that one night. I was asking somebody for a song. So he hooked me up, but he, and for those who don't know, Bassotronics is the one that did Bass I Love You, which has been played 10 million times on YouTube.
Bass track ever.
It probably is like literally one of the most popular bass tracks for showing woofers flex. But anyway, when he did that track and I played it back on this system with it cranked up and the door closed, yeah, you could definitely tell the whole thing was actually shaking some. So it's if it had more power and it had everything like that, it would definitely be difficult to keep it from just trying to shake on the floor, right? Just trying to move, because you have to remember the base of it is not massive because of the design. So I'm just clicking through here, and this is. So here, I wanted to show this because this is funny to me, and we talked about this in the interview, but I'm like, Shawn, dude, did you need to use such big wires for the tweeters? It's like, what, 14 gauge or something?
Yep.
So it's so, and then he reminded me, he's like, dude, you wanted me to, show the wiring off. He's like, I didn't want to have a 18 gauge
different
and a
size.
14 gauge. So, I won't have much loss going across the the tweeter lines.
Yeah. Well, you know how it is.
And
You just buy the one roll, and it's like I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah,
that's right.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
yeah.
the other thing here too that you can probably see pretty
Yeah, that's
well is
cool.
the way it's raised up around where the
Mhm.
mids are. And oops, sorry, clicked the wrong way. I didn't really talk about that again in the video. Oh yeah, and Flexstone. Did not even
Flexstone.
bring that up. But see, when
Right.
I originally showed the pictures, it was like I showed it at kind of as a tomb when I showed the lower part that showed the
Like a
logos and
tombstone,
stuff.
right?
Right. So it was kind of like a tombstone inside
Yeah,
of a coffin. That's what
yeah,
made it, extra
yeah.
cool. But again, talk about a little bit about the raised up, Shawn. Why did you? Was that just like an extra fabrication type thing that you decided to do,
Yeah,
or?
yeah. It's kind of. I mean, all of us fabricators kind of have our own style, I guess you'd say. And this is just something that I've done for years and years and years, and it's just like second nature to me. Is if I'm gonna do a ring, I'll raise. I'll usually do a raise up to the ring, and that allows you to. I certainly could have flushed everything, and it still would have looked good. But this is just kind of my thing that I do. So around the mids there and the subwoofer, as well as the spectrum analyzer. It's all raised up to those points.
Yeah, and Acoustical Arts is something about the 2T3002s. Those
Oh no.
amps are huge. It would be hard
Mm,
to fit those two in here.
yeah.
But I did, just as a side note, and I don't know that Shawn and I talked about this, but I thought about this before about kind of being a poser and putting, sorry about my peas are exploding here, but putting a Rockford Fosgate Punch 300 shroud with
Yeah.
some of the smaller Class D amps under it. I thought about that way you could kind of still show off the old school, but then have the new technology under it. We didn't go that route, but I don't think that would have been a bad thing. I think it would have been pretty cool to go that way too. So we didn't
Yeah.
show the sub here either. So I wanted to show off the front of the sub.
On this build though, I think like just having the old school stuff makes it more special than having just the shroud and the amps. Though something about it.
Yeah, it definitely makes it unique. And here's the thing that really surprised me too about how this turned out. Like you saw the speakers a few minutes ago, the mids, they're black, right? But when you see them lit up, it almost looks like they're clear, right? It looks like
Yeah.
the red LEDs make the speaker clear so you can see all the way through it. Even though you're not seeing through it, it's like an optical illusion. But it turned out really well, and it looks super cool, especially when the spectrum analyzer is dancing.
Mhm.
It's like it's super cool.
Yeah. The spectrum analyzer sets the whole project off. It's like just a centerpiece, and of course, like Derek's not going to pay anybody to do anything if it doesn't have some kind of spectrum
VU meters or
analyzer.
spectrum analyzer.
Either,
That's
yeah.
right. We gotta work it in.
we had a hard time trying to find something that was going to work too. Like
Yeah.
it's like, well, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work, and I think I just randomly happened to find that one on eBay one day, and I
Yeah.
sent you the messages like, well, what do you think of this thing?
The
And
the only one that maybe would have been cool was the Diamore
Demore. Yeah, I thought about that
one,
too.
but
It's custom
it's
and
like,
it.
yeah,
yeah, it's like
I don't know how well it would have flowed though. It's almost too modern for
I
this.
think so, probably. Yeah,
Derek
maybe if you did
initially.
use
Oh,
the
go ahead.
T300, if you did use the T300s, then yeah, that
Yeah,
would have been better.
some
Right.
yeah. If you use some newer equipment, yeah, for sure. Like the 25 to leg power 1000, that might have looked
Right.
good.
Oh yeah,
But
with the meters. Yep.
but in the beginning, Derek uh, gave me, or I don't know, I can't remember if you gave me, or we just talked about using the Alpine head unit
Mm-hmm. We talked
initially.
about it. Yep.
Yeah, and in the back of my head, I was like, I don't think that's gonna look good. So when you came up with the 8250, I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's gonna flow with everything. That'll look great. It'll have that nice old school Rockford green to kind of set things off. So I'm glad you had that head unit in your arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's at the top here. You can see it.
Yeah, the
The,
That
Denford.
that trim ring is it's hard to tell from this picture, but that's a very precise cut piece right there.
Yeah, and the other thing too, which I'm surprised nobody brought up, is the fact that the Denford head unit has got like 5 volt outputs, and we're going into a PA1 that has like 1 volt outputs.
Yeah,
And
it'll
Shawn,
match. No, it'll match whatever whatever it does the input.
okay, it'll match it.
Yeah,
Well, Shawn,
yeah.
this is the thing that when we did the interview that you didn't bring up, that you brought up when I went to pick it up from you. You told me that when you first got everything hooked up, you had all kind of crazy
Oh
noise. So
goodness,
tell me
yeah.
about what happened there.
Yeah, and honestly, I've done this long enough to know that it's not going to be right the first time you power it up. You're gonna run it every time. Every time you have a big project, something's going to have noise, or it's just not going to sound right. Something every single time. And sure enough, fired the thing up for the first day. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. What's going to be the problem? And there was some whining, and there's no charging system here. There's no alternator. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So started, troubleshooting, bypassing everything, and come to find out that the PA1, that's well over 30 years old now, right? So
Yeah,
that thing had
it's
some
from the late '80s. Yeah,
late, so even older.
That's the oldest piece of equipment on that.
Right,
yeah.
right,
It and the Power 300 are pretty close though, because that Power 300 is probably
sure,
88 ish.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
So it could be any one of those pieces, and come to find out, potentiometers on the PA1 were dirty, and the gains were spanked on everything, and so it after a little bit, a couple hours of troubleshooting, kind of narrowed everything down, got the level set correctly, and the noise went away. So
Yeah, noise is a nightmare.
sorry. Did you guys
can
hear
be,
the
yeah.
audio?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
I thought I
sorry.
did.
Yeah, I muted it.
All
So that was a picture I was looking for from before. And for some reason, again, this stuff, these are not in order, and that's my failure for some reason. But did you have was there a question that popped up?
Oh, he was saying do it bump though.
it it bumped though, but I tell you, the funnest part about this, and I've had, I was trying to be kind of careful with releasing because I didn't want people to video it and all that stuff and show it off.
Right.
Which at this point, I don't know it doesn't really make a difference. I was trying to be careful with, making it hype it up and all that stuff, and it turned out that it didn't quite meet my how do you even say that? Because I don't want to sound bad about this, but the expectations I had, I'm obviously, and people have already commented here, can tell I'm enthusiastic about it because I'm super excited about it, and I wouldn't care if really 10 people watched the video. To me, it's just like, I got this. This is the coolest thing. Shawn built it for me, and I just thought that a lot more people would like it. Right? I thought it would be something that's so unique that that people would like it and they would share it and everything. We haven't gotten a huge number of views yet, but again, it doesn't matter. But my expectations of it were higher than what we've seen thus far. But it's not Halloween yet. There's still a few more days left, so maybe it'll pop up and people will see it and share it and think it's as cool as I do. And if they don't, then that's fine. Like I said, I've got it, so you guys can just drool over seeing what I have here. So again, here's the cutouts. You can see the fitting of the subwoofer. You can also see the spectrum analyzer and the other speakers there on the top.
You can see how the front trim panel is actually two pieces there at that point in time.
Right.
Yep.
Right below the spectrum analyzer, it's split there.
And for those who don't know, the hinge that's needed for something this large is what you use on a piano, right?
That's what I was going to ask. If it's a piano hinge, yeah.
Yeah, pretty heavy duty. Yeah.
And it had some manual chiseling there. Talk about a little bit about this. What do you call the stuff on the inside? You called it flock?
Yeah, suede flock. Yeah. Yep. You basically it's a really fine fiber, whatever color you choose, and you used to be able to buy it. Well, you could still buy it with an adhesive that you basically paint on. Okay.
Right.
so you paint on an adhesive that's the same color as the actual flock that you're using, and then there's little tools that there's different ways of applying it, but there are different tools that you can use to essentially force the fibers onto the adhesive that you just painted. Okay. I found over time that you can actually just use like a good quality oil-based paint, and it's cheaper and it does the same exact thing. But this is definitely, I said this before, but this is definitely the biggest piece I ever had flocked. I mean, that's a lot of surface area there. So
It is.
Yeah.
that was interesting.
It's hard to
Yeah.
tell by the picture, but yeah, I can see that. So Drop the Knob asked about the symmetry EPX2. So it's interesting he mentioned that because there was one component that we were trying to fit in, the Rockford OEQ1, which matched this time frame. And if those who remember what the OEQ1 is, it was I don't know the size of it, maybe 8 inches by 4 inches or so, designed to go in your trunk, and it had all tiny potentiometers on there, and it gave you 10 bands of equalization per channel. And we were trying to fit that in, but I had a gold shroud OEQ1, but I didn't have a chrome shrouded one. So I even put out something on Facebook saying, hey, does anybody have a chrome shroud, or whatever? And I just didn't get any feedback about getting one of those. So we just decided to pull that out. It would have been cool to add that layer of adjustments, because I can tell you this thing sounds good, and there's the 3 bands of EQ on the PA1, which do help depending on what track you're listening to, because it does give you some flexibility. But having more bands would have been pretty cool, but it just didn't fit in. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the chrome one, and we couldn't make everything else gold. So it was just
the other thing to keep in mind too, with using all of this old school gear, you're always running the risk of having problems with it, right?
Right.
So it's like you're all like, yeah, it would be cool to add something like a symmetry or an OQ1 too, but you're raising your chances of something going wrong,
Yeah.
So it's like, how much of a headache
we're already playing roulette, right? With the products we're using. And speaking of that, the head unit, the CD mechanism is kind of wonky a little bit. So that was one thing that we ran into. But then we're like, well, we're using the auxiliary in, we're using the Bluetooth. It's not a huge deal. But again, that head unit is still almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. A Bluetooth urn for next year.
And so here's the hidden wiring, which is pretty cool. That here's him showing the 14 gauge going up to the
the absolutely required 14 gauge.
Yeah,
that's right.
Need how much power do you need? Yes.
Yes.
That much.
Well, and so the other thing, and I talked about this in the video, but the original Rockin' Coffin was, I think it was a little taller. I think they said it was like 7 feet tall when I read the article again, and it was a little bit wider. So they said that people could actually get inside that thing and close it. But what we thought about for this one was having it so you could close it up, and it had the grill cloth and protective stuff on the front so that it would actually play through. So this is the part where when you show it off to people, keep it closed, kind of be jamming the song, and then say, go grab your hand on the side and open it up. And then that's when you just see their eyes just kind of, light up. And that's the thing Shawn had me do too. So I'm doing it to everybody that sees it now. You have to open it up.
Did you make the hinges creaky on purpose? That would have been a good effect.
Yeah, no, they do those all on their own.
Yeah, they do creak a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
It kind of fits in.
Yeah. Wait, have you had any ideas like you can like kind of build on? So every year at Halloween, you can have like a different piece to like you could have a tombstone, for instance. I mean, I don't know. I guess you wouldn't want audio in every single one of them, but
I mentioned it in the video. I just think it'll be cool to see what other people do too. I've got plenty of other ideas of things to do, but only so much space to put things like this because this is kind of big. But yeah, I mean, like separate, smaller versions that have the mids and highs, and then have a big one with just big subs in it. I mean, there's all kind of different things you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, routed out for the wire. Yeah, and again, I asked Shawn to show off the wiring too, because that was part of the wow factor that I wanted, was so that people could see the wiring, in the back. I'm trying to scroll through
we
here.
definitely wanted to pay homage. They say that right, to the original.
Yeah.
To the original. So.
And so now that you brought that up, I'll go ahead and talk about it a little bit. So Steve Collada, the guy who owned Creative Car Stereo back in the 90s, they are now Creative Systems Incorporated. They are home audio exclusively. So when I found out that Steve Collada is still around, he's the president of Creative Systems Incorporated. So I did my best to reach out to Steve, and I did, and I got replies from him a couple times, but I think I was kind of like the little kid who was tugging at somebody's shirt tail saying, "Hey, can we go here? Can we do this?" I could feel that the resistance to the fact that, yeah, kid, this is cool. We did it 30 years ago, but I've moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that in any negative fashion at all, because I understand, that people move on, and some of us are still stuck back in the old school in some ways like this. But I was really hoping to get him, to interview him, to talk about the original, and what he thought about the one we did, and just, maybe talk about some of the things, what happened with it and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him to do that. So it's all good, but I just want to let you guys know I tried. I tried pretty hard too, because Shawn was copied in on some of the messages.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, I even offered monetary, incentives, but didn't get anywhere.
If you had thought of this in a different way, I mean, this could definitely be home audio centric. You could have had 2 of these,
Yeah.
right? With the sub, and you have basically a left and a right channel.
You could have 3 of them. The
That's
middle
right.
piece would have all your source and your amp and
Right.
all the EQ, equalizer, whatever. And yeah, speaker left, speaker right, subwoofer. Hey, we'll just take this thing to the nines.
Yeah, you just go the whole thing, right?
Caskets all over the place.
The casket of tombstone.
Shawn, we should have had those banana plugs, man, on the outside, so I could have daisy chained them.
And then obviously, like the satellite speakers would have to be the urns, like E-Dud said. So
Yep.
Definitely.
Oh, and so this is the other thing that I didn't really show off in the video, and I actually got video of it, but I just didn't fit it in. So the trim panels on the back, when Shawn did these and did the Plexi or Lexan, whatever you want to call it, on the back, these panels fit in with like the speaker grill, what do you call them, inserts?
Magnets.
No, these aren't. It's not magnets on the back. It's the ones that push in.
Yeah,
that have
but these are the grill snaps.
Right.
Grill snaps. Yeah.
Right here. Here, I'll show so they can get a. Nope, that's not it. Never mind. I don't got them right here. I thought I did.
Rob got him.
Yeah, I definitely got him.
But I can't.
But
keep
the front
scrolling.
door, is held with magnets.
With magnets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk about that either. But yeah, so he's got a notch that you can stick your hand in, and it's held by the magnets. But yeah, you just pull it and it comes right out. People stick their hand there like, "Can I pull this?" Like, yeah, go ahead. It ain't hurt anything. Yes, you can use it like a jukebox, and that's kind of the way I plan on setting it up for Halloween, is to have it set up like a jukebox.
What's the plan after Halloween? Like, where's this? Is it going in the house? Is it?
You are probably the 100th person that's asked me that. Shawn was the first.
There is no plan.
Yeah. Shawn asked me first. He's like, "Dude, what are you gonna do with this thing?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I hadn't thought of that yet." For me, it was more the experience of having it, having this thing and sharing it with everybody and showing it off, than it is the fact that, hey, I've got this now. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
So I don't know yet. That's the
Yeah.
answer.
I mean, it's super cool. I mean, listen, I'm glad that you did it because like I'm so space limited, I would never even consider doing it because I just wouldn't have nowhere to put it, you know?
Yeah, so the standoffs here on the back, I was looking for the other picture. Again, for some reason it's not showing them all in order, but Shawn had to fit a lot of different components underneath the standoff in the back because uh, the spectrum analyzer came with this huge power supply, right, Shawn?
Oh, it didn't come with it. Actually, I had to
Oh,
get
you
an
had to
extra.
buy it separate?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah. So it runs off a 5 volt. Um, so obviously, with being a 12-volt system, we had to step that down. So the heat sink you see there is a pretty good sized 5 volt regulator.
And it
Wow.
was like, what, 5 amps at 5 volts or something like that?
Yeah, the board right on it says 6 amps. So surprised that it pulls that much current, but
I know it is. Because, I mean, how
just to
much
be
does
safe.
LEDs pull?
Right, right.
That's what I was just thinking, like,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah, I told my wife I'm gonna, put it in the corner of the bedroom. So we'll see how that works out. Well, there's just a chair sitting there now that doesn't do anything but accumulates
There you
clothes.
go.
So who cares?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to wake up to a coffin in the room.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
one of my favorite little pieces that will probably always go underappreciated or not even noticed is, I explained this to you, Derek, was the little trim panel over, there you go, over the mounting feet. That's something. So if I didn't do that black plexi there, you would have seen the metal mounting bracket for the amplifier, which was just really ugly. So that actually took a pretty significant time right there, just to hide the mounting flange for the amplifier.
Yeah, and as minty as the shroud was, the mounting feet on all these things are, it's like the weak point of them, and whenever screws go through them, they kind of distort a little bit. So, yes, they are Boston Acoustics 5.4s. Yes, that is correct.
Do you got any video? So we can
Yes, I do.
check it. Let's see that. Let's see that spectrum analyzer.
I see that's SE.
Yeah.
So what? Just before you change real quick, you notice the fan. So there is active cooling in it, which we don't believe the original had.
Right.
So, and that was the point of doing the Rockford logo up top, was to have the air induction.
And
Mhm.
what'd you call that? What'd you call that on your video, Derek?
What, the squirrel cage fan?
The squirrel cage fan.
Squirrel cage fan, yeah.
Never once heard that in my life.
You've never heard that? You never heard of
once.
that, Tiffany?
No.
Debbie Gibson's upset that you haven't heard of that.
Yeah. We always called them
right.
crossflow fans.
Same thing. Yep. Sure. Yeah.
So the one I might as well just show. Well, I can show it here too. But the one that I showed in the video is the one I like the most. Like, because I've got some clips here, but I don't know that this computer's going to play them because it's 4K 60. The other thing that's really difficult is to capture the spectrum analyzer on video. Like, I tried 60 frames a second, I tried 24, I tried 30, and all of them, like right now, you guys are probably noticing you're missing some of the display.
Right.
It's because the scroll and the refresh rate on this screen is some weird, like 40 or 50 hertz or something. So it's not showing up properly.
Did you try like 120 and then rendering it back down to a different?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't try 120, but it seemed like it was smoother at 30 hertz than it was at 60. Right. So, but yeah, you can see the cool thing about the ring around the sub is it makes it like a Serwin Vega sub almost. And this is choppy playing back. Sorry, it's my computer, but there you can see the PA1 also has its little spectrum analyzer, and for some reason I thought this had two. It had one for each channel, but that's probably the next version that did that or something. It was one of them I thought had two. But this is for those who are super geeks of Rockford Fosgate, recognize that the knobs here are the same knobs that they use on their amps for the bass and treble controls. So that was what was always so neat to me about these head units. So the way it's set up right now is the 8250 has front and rear. I think, yeah, it just has front and rear. It doesn't have three outputs, right? Just front and rear. So we have the front going in here to the PA1. The rear is going straight into the spectrum analyzer, right, Shawn?
That's right.
Yeah. So then going from the front inputs or outputs of the 8250 in here, then the output of the PA1 is going into the Rockford 300, and just using 2 channels instead of 4 coming out into the Rockford. So it does still have the 3 different equalization. You got the bass, the mids, and the highs. So you do have some adjustment here for the sound. And the head unit does switch between, it's really orange, I guess amber is what it's called, and the green. So it just didn't match the red. So we just leave it on green because that way it looks like Frankenstein. And then the rest of it looks like Dracula.
On this kind of equalizer, you can't really tell, but that's definitely a V pattern on there.
Of course.
It's definitely
you know that's how I turn it.
you got to.
You gotta crank it into the V's.
Nobody wants those 2000 hertz frequency.
Either the V or the smiley face.
Right.
Yeah, and I didn't notice this until I got back from Shawn because I thought this thing was like minty, but the volume right below the get back a little bit. I know it's choppy, but right below where the volume knob is on the PA1, it is the silk screening is worn away a little bit. You can see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had these things stored away. I probably had this PA1 for 10 or 12 years, and it's just been sitting. So I'm glad.
So the 300, did you get that shroud from Schultz? Did Schultz redo that, or is that an original?
No. That's a great question. Let me see if I can find the picture because I've got the picture of the 3 amps. I've got a 650, a 1000, and a 300 that were all chrome, and I got them all from the same guy back probably 2012 or something. Might not have the picture here for some reason, but no, I didn't get them from Schultz, and they weren't done by him. In fact, I don't like to give away secrets, but if you look close at the amp, you can tell. It's hard to tell here. I'll zoom in a little bit. This is not like the perfect logo here. See how the W looks like an M?
Yeah.
So this was done by somebody. I don't think this was the original that came from Perfect Interface. I think somebody did this, but it was done a long time ago is all I know. And when you look at it, you can't really tell. You have to kind of zoom up like I just did and give that away that it's not factory. But
is it silk screening or is it?
No, it's not. It's actually like
it's a decal.
Raised decal.
Oh, like my wife could probably fix that for you. She's got a Cricut. We could hook it
Cricut, yeah, we could probably cricket that mug. Yep. Yeah, and there's the back of the HX2. You can see the custom right there, built by Shawn K.
That's dope.
So yeah, that's really cool. And he had the basket. It looks like it's like polished aluminum, but this was actually chrome plated, right, Shawn?
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be chrome plated. I thought it was gonna turn out a little more shiny than that, but we had to make do with what we got.
Yeah, no, it still looks really.
So
cool.
it is a chrome powder coat. That's why it's not quite so vibrant.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So did you have to do a custom sticker on the back for that then?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of got a mix of the Rockford logos. So you have a little bit of new, a little bit of old, like the Dracula and the newer.
Yeah.
And I hope somebody notices that freaking backdrop that I bought because I think that backdrop looks super cool.
I like it.
But not only did I buy a backdrop, as you guys can probably imagine, even with that thing being, what was it, 8 feet tall by 10 feet wide? Can you imagine trying to take a landscape video of something that's this tall. What do you think is going to happen? That 10 foot wide is not wide enough.
Right.
Right.
So I had to buy 2 different solid black drapes that went down from the edge you see,
Right.
like right here. So that's a drape going this way, back about 10 feet. And on the other side, it's the same thing. So I did that so it totally encompassed this into this, kind of graveyard theme.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it was worth it to get that shot. I mean, because when you show it with a regular backdrop, it doesn't pop as much.
Right.
Right.
And with all the LEDs on it, it glows. Of course, you can see the clamp down there at the bottom if you look close. But with all the LEDs, it actually shines onto the backdrop, and it looks really cool too. So I sacrificed my whole OSS labs here for like 2 weeks getting all this stuff set up and doing all this. So I put a lot of work into this after a lot of work that Shawn had done. So you guys share that video and send it to your mama and your grandmama and your friends and stuff. And tell them to thumbs up it, because the thumbs up, the likes on it are like higher than any video I've ever had. They're like almost 100%. It's like 99.1.
Wow.
But the views themselves are just, YouTube has kind of given me the shaft over the past few months and just stopped sharing my stuff as much as they used to. So I need y'all to help me out. Help a brother out.
We need to get this thing commissioned and like some. That's how you can get your thing back. Your money back out of it.
Well, I've got a local car
out.
audio shop that's already asked about it, so I have to figure out my rate model.
Right.
Interesting.
So there's the original. Of course, you guys may have seen this because I posted it on Facebook asking about that amp, because it drove me crazy. I'm like, what? It looks like an Alpine, but I could not find one that had 3 stripes on it and all that stuff. And anyway, we had the experts figure out that that's a 3520, which is a 120 watt mono amp from Alpine that was made between like 87 and 88. So they had that gold plated. The interesting thing is, in the article, they call that a 3545. Now we all know what the 3545 is. That's the big Alpine, the 350 watt per channel, big one.
Yeah.
That is not a 350 watt per channel amp right there.
Yeah.
But
And if you look at them closely, there is like the same red, on the inside looks the same. The wiring looks similar. The sub, the port, it's pretty.
So the big difference, and again, this is another thing we talked about the project. Do we go, because Punch 45, Punch 150 has always been kind of the de facto for old school about how to do a system before the DSM stuff came out. So like the early 90s.
Right.
So that was one thing I was thinking. Punch 45 for the mids and highs, Punch 150 for the sub, and I don't know. I'm still torn. I like the 300 as being the single amp, but I would, it would have been equally as cool to do the 150 and the 45. How long did it take Shawn to build it? A couple months, 2 months ish.
Yep, couple months. Yep.
So this, when you pass away, whenever that may be, this has definitely got to be at the funeral, right?
Of course, because I'm. I've already told my wife that I don't, I'm going to be burned up anyway, so I don't care about being put into a casket. So, but yeah, they definitely have to play like
and
Back
then what I would do?
or
I would
to
do
the
like
Bone.
recording. Just be like, hey, guess what? I faked my death. I'm not really dead. Oh man.
Okay, so and this is one of the things we kind of skipped over is the Bluetooth module. And I got totally suckered in by this RS company, which had ads all over Facebook and Amazon and everything else. This high-end Bluetooth 5.0, whatever. Granted, it connects every time. It sounds great. I don't have any problem with it. I just, I'd never really heard about it. I'm not into the marketing gig thing. But you can see it's got a digital output too, but we don't have digital input in the head unit. But it works fine. And again, it's a design for one. Is it designed for 110, Shawn, or did it have like a USB connector on it for powering it?
Right, USB.
Okay.
C or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to step that down as well, just like the spectrum analyzer. So that's that regulator for it right there on the top.
Yeah, the Aorus is 119. It's linked in the video. If you go to tombofboom.com, I forwarded that to my video to make it super easy for you guys. Just go to tombofboom.com and it takes you right to the YouTube video. Tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell all your friends, and they just go straight to the video and they can watch it and they can enjoy it and they can click like and they can buy the stuff straight from the video description, and then everybody's happy. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to sell myself, not trying to sell Shawn, not trying to sell Scott, not trying to sell Basatronics, but there's a lot of work that went into this, people.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think you forgot to factor into it. Not that many people are Halloween people.
What's up with that?
I know. I think it's a small, like I'm kind of that way. Like I won't go, I'm not going to dress up or do anything I like Halloween, but I'm not doing anything extra. Like I'll hand out the candy, we'll chill out, play some spooky music, but that's about it.
Well, here's the thing.
My wife is all about Halloween.
She
loved this thing.
Well, see, here's the other thing. It's like I tell people about making a really good Christmas song or a really good whatever your favorite holiday song is, right? Guess what? That happens. So if this doesn't get caught on to this year and people don't see it, guess what? There's a Halloween next year. There's a Halloween the year after. So this kind of lives, right? If people find it next Halloween and, it gets shared more then, that's cool too. So that's my whole thing about it is it's a one-day deal. Maybe it's not the biggest holiday. Maybe some people aren't as passionate about it, but I am, and I think the project was super cool and it turned out awesome, and hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed showing it off.
Oh, I think everybody did. Everybody, who watched it, and yeah, man. This is literally, since I've known you, the most enthusiastic you've ever been about a project at all.
Look at that guy on the right of the Coffin there.
It is, and even it's funny because Rob said, "Dude, I haven't heard you complain about work in like a month." He's like, "That's not like you because I'm usually complaining about my day job." And so yeah, he's right. It's hard to explain the interest in, when I first saw this and thought about all the different things you could do to make it the way that you wanted to make it and use the components you wanted to use and kind of show things off. So for me, it's one of those things when you see as a kid, like you see a Corvette, like, oh man, one day I want a Corvette or whatever it is. For me, it was this, like I wanted every year, I was like, I need to do this. I need to start it. But getting in the YouTube cycle, as Rob knows and everybody else who makes videos knows, you don't really have, unless you do YouTube full time, you don't have the time to invest in side projects like this, without really sacrificing everything else. So that's why I decided to bring on Shawn.
Well, there you go. 20 years from now, enthusiasts may be recreating it.
Yeah, with tar amps.
Yeah, maybe.
Bass 3Ks. Those will be old school by then.
Well, are they going to work? That point?
I don't know. Those plastic potentiometers probably not, but
I will say this though, versus the old one. The old one was cool and it was the original idea, but this, in my opinion, surpasses it in every single way. It's on theme more. You have more of the same, you're completely Rockford. It's not just a random assortment of stuff besides the Boston acoustically. But yeah, I think the theme's better. The execution's better. I think everything's better about it than the first.
And that's why we love Rob.
Yep.
But yeah, it's cool. And it depends on what light you get it in. Where the red looks better. Like right now, it looks kind of orange. There you go.
Yeah, it looks better there, definitely.
Right.
And that's because in this one, in order to do the video, I had to have the lights on, and with this one, I could turn the lights out.
Who's that fool in the mask right there with the? Hey, how much did that vest cost?
So you're looking at like $100 worth of costume right there. So
Okay. Yeah.
affiliate links for the win.
Right. Right.
Oh, and all the backdrops and all that stuff. Yeah, that was quite a bit too. But I don't care. I mean, it was
No, it's worth
literally
it.
I did it because I wanted to, and it's not about
Yeah.
making anything back. You're always taking a chance when you do things. Like I said, I was super happy with it and passionate about it. Still am. Always will be. And if
Right.
it doesn't hit other people the same way, it doesn't show. People don't show as much interest in it, then that's okay. They might hit it next year.
Well, of course. I mean, you've literally up to this point had over a month of happiness out of it so far. So whether you got one view off it or not, like it's totally been worth it.
That's right. Let's see. What does Mad Cat say? There you go. See, and Eddie,
Yeah,
I
that's
said
cool.
Mad Cat, but yeah, that's what I mentioned in the video. I'm like, I think this will be so neat for people every year to whatever your budget is. Like if you don't have a big budget, you just want to make a small one. If you want to make some bookshelf speakers that look kind of like a coffin, I think that would be really cool. But I just think it's like a kind of a cool theme of something that DIYers can do every year who have some time.
Right.
And make their own version of whatever. So yeah, I think I've been through all the pictures several times, but I don't know if anybody else had any.
Yeah, put your questions up. In the meantime, like Shawn, what's going on, man? The amp repair, you still booked up to
Yeah, man. I as far as the amp repair thing goes, I've kind of put a halt to it. And it's not that I really want to. It's just I have to.
right.
I have some, between Derek's project that I just finished up on, and I'm still tackling the stack for Brad. But it's like I'm getting to this point where, uh, I have a few big projects that I personally want to get done for myself, and,
Yeah.
and it's really I'm not at that point yet because I'm still trying to get caught up, but in the near future, that's what I want to do. So, um, I I don't know how much I really want to put this out in public, but like I guess I'll just say it like at some point in the near future, I'd like to actually start designing an amplifier of my own.
Ooh.
And I'm not saying that I'm going to mass produce it or
Right.
anything like that, but I really would like to have my own hand built, my design. And I'm confident now that I could do that on my own. So that's something I'd like to do in the near future. There's a couple big, couple installs I'd like to do. One for my wife, one for myself. In addition to some regular work. So just like I have to put things on hold, or else it's never gonna get done.
Right.
So
Because I mean, me and Derek need those amps. So whatever you got to do to make that happen.
Well, the challenge is, and like I've tried to create a list, of techs that will do things like do repairs. It's just, I think that there's so much demand for it that a lot of people just get overwhelmed because they have
it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, they'll
For
put out
sure.
a thing that says, "Hey, I'm repairing amps," and all of a sudden, they've got 40.
Yeah.
And you start thinking backwards from 40 amps. You're like, wow, each one's going to take me 2 or 3 days, and I got other things to do, and blah blah blah. And it's like, wow, I've already got a whole year booked out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Well,
know
listen. I get 2 weeks off for Christmas, Shawn. I fly out there. I'll be your understudy, and we'll knock some of them
Lord.
projects out.
All right, sounds good.
Except you're gonna have to check literally everything I touch.
Yeah, Rob Sauter's probably about like me. So,
Oh, dude, I'm terrible at soldering. We stick with the wood cutting and shaping.
Sounds good.
thank you, Eddie. Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I saw here. Yeah, this is funny. Deviant. He's picking on my cape, man. What's up with that?
It's got a gold chain,
Definitely
bro.
dedication.
That's 24 karat.
And see, I was about to go all out. I was about to get my Flavor Flav big old fat gold chain too and go along with it. And I'm like, dude, I have gone far enough. I don't know that I should do that too.
I mean, to be fair, you do seem like a hip hop Dracula. So
Mhm.
you're like the Dracula from I can't remember the movie with it was Eddie Murphy where he was Dracula. Do
Uh,
you remember which one? Where he's no Chris Rock's in it where he's a ghoul and his ears stuff starts falling off.
I
Vampire in
vague.
Brooklyn. Vampire in
Oh,
Brooklyn.
vague.
I don't
Okay.
think I've seen that one.
I have to
You
check.
haven't
I
seen
don't
it?
think I've seen it. I've seen. Yeah, I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Right. Here we go. I see, Dini, you weren't here, man. I'm dressed up as my favorite amp repair tech.
Yeah, there you go.
Rod's
Monolithic
man.
said it.
Here we go. Hip Hoplica.
Well, I mean, overall, it was a very interesting thing. I tried to give Shawn enough time because I brought it up like in the summer. I'm like, look, dude, I want to do this and go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and get it started. Or do you want to? Because you just finished you finished Brad's build, a few months before?
Yeah,
And I
that
think
was
you were
just
still
December
recuperating
or
from
so.
all the work that you spent with that.
Right, trying to get caught up. And but yeah, you reached out early enough where I wasn't obviously going to be able to jump on it right away, but I knew we'd be able to get it done for
Yeah.
for this season. So
Yeah, we needed you to have a GoPro so you could act like they do on all those shows and be like, "Oh, I've only got 12 hours left, and I can get this done."
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, El
Appreciate it,
Fuego, thank you. 12 days of Christmas live streaming. Are you doing that again this year, Rob?
Yeah, man. El Fuego's hold me to it. I guess it's a yearly tradition.
Oh,
We'll see.
hardcore.
I'm going to do 6 of them from Shawn's house in the garage. We're going to be working on it. We're going to rebuild that cord.
Sweet.
Matt, if it's not the longest one, it's definitely close to the longest one. When I drop all of my videos and photos into the folder, for most videos that I do, I have somewhere between 150 and 250 items in the folder between pictures and videos. With this one, I had 450-ish to go through. So just selecting what to do and trying to produce the video in a way where it wasn't going to take 30 minutes or more to go through, because I hated not to go super in depth because of all the work Shawn put into it, because I wanted to show that. But then I'm thinking on the other side, I'm like, well, people just want to see this thing, the teaser in the beginning, where open up the door and kind of show you what it looks like, and then talk about the history, and then talk a little bit about the build, but we didn't get super in depth. I was hoping it was enough to, keep people's interest enough to want to watch the video. So it's really delicate when you're trying to decide how you're going to do your video, how far you're going to go, how deep you're going to go, how long the video is going to be. So, it's just the decision with that. But still, as far as editing time, it took me probably 30 hours worth of editing to get it done. So it took a while.
I think you should still do the extended cut just on Willie Williston or something like that if you don't want it on the main channel.
I would love to, but I still need to do Shawn's other one, the Brad's build, because I've got all the pictures and all the information of that too. And that one is, this is next level. That one's like even a higher next level that shows all the work that went into the build for Brad's Type R. Yeah. So I thought about it too, and about maybe just doing like a slideshow version, kind of stepping through, each of the segments to get to it. But yeah, because we did an interview, I think, with that one too, didn't we, Shawn? Yeah, we did an interview. I've got all that stuff already. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
SJC, thank you, appreciate that. Genava, yes, thank you as well. You guys are rocking it tonight.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, we appreciate you guys, and obviously this is fun. This is a Halloween thing, It's for me, it was a lot of fun. I hope my enthusiasms can come through, and hope you guys, have something you're enthusiastic about, and something that gets your blood boiling and gets you excited about audio, whether it's car audio, home audio, whatever. And just reach for the things you want to do, because it's important, right? We all have to have goals and we have to have things we want to do. And I'm just still blown away with this. And I can't wait till Halloween to start showing it off. And I was trying to get like some kids or some parents or something to come over early and kind of do it and capture it for the video, because I think that adds to the experience, but I just couldn't fit it in. So, but
yeah, maybe a live stream. Something.
yeah.
Are you gonna put it out on Halloween night? Is that the objective?
Yeah, I just, the original one had grill covers over the speakers, so I'm a little concerned that kids are gonna go up and try to push on the speakers and stuff. So if I do put it out, I'm probably gonna block it off so people can't get within a couple feet of it.
Yeah,
because you really need to see the back though too, because people are they're blown away when you open it up and you see the front and they see the LEDs. But then when you walk around to the back, what's that?
One more piece. I've got one over here. The little turnstile, the electric ones.
I've got one, but I don't know that it'll do 250 pounds.
Well, you can buy them that'll do up to 350.
Oh,
they're $100 though. I mean, it's $100 something bucks, but
I'll just add it to the build budget of this
right.
thing.
I mean,
why not? What's another $150?
You're already this far in. I mean, might as well.
Well, I did buy the 250 pound Lazy Susan, but it's not a. Well, here's the other problem with that one, Rob, is it would have to be the battery or whatever the power supply would have to also be on the part of the turntable so it could spin with it, or it would be like a brake cable on a bicycle. It'd get tangled up.
Right. Yeah, got to put the headway cells next to it or something.
Yeah. Put the gyro on it so it can keep spinning.
There you go.
Those who know BMX know what that means. All right. Velvet ropes around it. Yep. If you guys
have anything else, what you got coming up? Do you anything?
I got some amps. I'm backed up. Oh yeah. So I teased a little bit about the lithium build, the LTO cells.
Oh yeah.
I just got me a fancy new Rubbermaid cart that Rob approves of because they use it at his work. Heavy duty Rubbermaid cart that I'm going to use to put the LTO cells on. I've got 8 banks of 6. So I've got 320 amp hours of LTO. I've got 400 amp power supplies, which I don't think I'm going to need them with that much LTO.
Right.
But yeah, I'm about ready to test some big amps. Kind of big. I don't want to say big because y'all say, well, I'm testing a 30K. You know, I need a 30K. Much bigger than I typically test. What about you, Rob? What you got?
So I'm testing a physically big amp.
Oh yeah, MDX.
This one will come out Sunday. This is a Class AB new amp, 20 inches long, 135 watts by 4.
Whoa.
She's a monster. So that's coming out Sunday. I've got some footage coming out from the last 2 weekends. Been to car audio shows, so I'm gonna do a midweek like Wake the Dead. Then I've got so much SQ footage. I'm gonna have to break that up. I'm gonna have to do 2 or 3 videos. So those will be midweek videos. And I've got
karma. You have good karma though. Not bad karma.
Focus. Yeah.
Let's
so
focus.
Karma audio. That'll be coming up. I'll do something on that. I've got subs here. I've got some of these crazy speakers here. Nice Canon. Thank you for the focus.
We're going berserk trying to watch that thing focus.
Are you audio mind?
That's the best.
Mind.
That's one of the best lately.
At first glance, I thought it was English, but when you read it,
it's a good play on words.
Right, exactly.
So, David, thank you, man. You rocked the house. Appreciate
it,
that. Bro. Bobby, the Warhorse will not work with the dyno. I didn't mention that in the videos before, but the way it has the positive and negative rails, the way it works, it will not work with the dyno.
Too much switching distortion.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, even with like the clamp on the SPL meter?
Well, the clamp on the SPL meter may work.
with the power probe kit and all that.
What you'd have to do is you have to measure one side and you have to double it. I don't know if
Right.
it'll work, but we can look into that. But I did have an idea of the Warhorse on the quad box.
Yeah.
As long as I can confirm with Kip that they have some extra L7Rs. Is that what they are? Yeah, L7Rs, in case I blow
Right.
a few of them out of the box. Then
Wow.
I'll do that. But I thought that would be a super cool video. And you guys like to
Sure.
see super cool stuff. You don't like coffins or something for some reason.
Well,
I
hey,
don't know y'all people.
here's a dirty little secret about that Warhorse. They might actually sound worse than Teramps amps. Oh,
Yeah.
I said it. I've heard them
Yeah.
before. But they were the first 10,000 watt amp out there. So
Yeah, but was it really 10,000 or was it really 5,000?
how can you
That's the
test it?
question, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of, there's a good argument that it's really a 5,000 watt amp.
Right.
Times two. Yeah.
Well, 5,000 watt
It's
one
going
way and
Yeah,
5,000 watt the other way
rail
doesn't
and negative
equal
rail.
10,000. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's two different waves.
Hey, math, man.
So
Simple math.
hey, but you got to give it a kicker. They tried, and they, they do that sometimes. Sometimes it works out for the good. Sometimes it doesn't. But you can't go through being safe with everything because then you're just boring. So I give them kudos for trying, and they'll have stuff they'll knock out of the park. So. All right. I think we've exhausted all the goofy questions. Thank you guys. We really do appreciate you guys joining us every week and hanging out with the chats and engaging with us and all the other podcast shows, streams that happen during the week. We see a lot of the same people during, in all of them. So you guys are really the, you're the audience and the heartbeat, I guess you would say, of the industry. And we appreciate you guys, seriously, for hanging out and keeping things interesting and for sharing the video and sending it to all your friends.
Subliminal. That wasn't even a subliminal.
Did y'all hear it? I heard somebody say something. It won't me.
It was Dracula. Yeah, for
Gotta
sure.
watch
Reverse
him.
polarity tomorrow. And Sidejack. So should be fun.
Sweet. All right, well, Shawn, thanks again for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks for your awesome work.
Yes.
And if I sell it one day and get $100K for it, I'll give you a cut.
Okay.
All right. So that's the price in case anybody wants to buy it. Just saying, just throwing it out there. $100K, you can have it.
And that's just sound for what he's got into it now. He's about to turn it out.
I will throw in the cape
Right.
Nice.
and the mask. $100K. So, and I may even spread that out over equal monthly payments with no interest. So. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a
Thanks,
good
guys.
week. We'll talk to you
See ya.
later. See ya.
Good night.
I love the long way.